On this episode, we define the ideal force vector.
And how do we measure joint mobility?
Porcio Steven go down here at the @TopVelocity hashtag Pitch Tips Show, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, @TopVelocity hashtag Pitch Tips. Ask your question, answered on the show. Been getting really a lot of stuff going on Snapchat. It's been pretty fun. If you haven't already, jump on our Snapchat, Top Velocity. Find us at Top Velocity. We put it at the end of the videos always. Get on Snapchat, guys. We got a lot of good stories going off. We really are spending a lot of time on it. We like the interaction with it. We're helping a lot of guys, a lot of questions with it. So Snapchat's really been a great way for us to kind of give y'all a lot of what we're doing here and a lot of free stuff what we're doing. I mean, come on, we're just showing y'all drills and everything we do all the time. And a lot of customer service. I mean, we talk to a lot of guys and we help a lot of guys on Snapchat. So if you're not on Snapchat, guys, you're really missing out what we can do for you for nothing, for free, man. It's like PBS here. It's like the government is funding Top Velocity, man. It's crazy. We're going broke. No, I'm just no, we're hanging in there. It's working. We've got a big summer coming up, so if you haven't come down or signed up for 3X, 2X camps, those are filling up. It's getting exciting what's going on. It's going to be a crazy summer, mainly because it looks like we're moving facilities. I know. Wah, wah, wah. Sorry. They want a lot of money here. A lot of money. So we're looking. We don't know what's going to happen. We could stay here. We don't know. We're looking, but that's gonna be a heads up. Don't worry. We've got all options covered. Easy transition. It'll be a hard transition, but it will be a transition.
Easy for them, hard for
hard for us, easy for you guys. So come on down, train with us this summer. Join the club. Call up Steven if you need a room for it. I don't know if he has any rooms left.
Yeah, it's filling up fast.
First come, first serve for Steven. So tell you the truth, if you send him a check, we'll probably just give you the room, as opposed to everybody trying to make reservations and not anteing up kind of thing.
Exactly.
But let's get started with the question for today. Jonas asks, what is a good measure of a linear force vector, and can my lead leg pass my hip in the load like Sonny Gray? I really like this question because I just did this really in-depth review on David Aardsma. If he lets me put it out there, go on YouTube and check it. It's a really in-depth biometric breakdown of where he is today and where he was at his best and what has changed. And with David, with most guys, low velocity guys, and David's, he's just definitely not a low velocity guy. He's just 34 trying to get back to mid-90s where he was at his best. And we know it's right there. It's just a matter of him. He had a lot of setbacks, a lot of injury through his years, and now that he's healthy and he's in this system, it's trying to get his mechanics back, and that's hard, because a lot of years of him pitching with bad legs and poor leg power and how that changed everything. But what he was really battling with was this exact thing right here. What's a good linear force vector? Well, it's making sure first that obviously the force vector is the ankle to the knee, wherever that's directing. It's making sure first that the hips are counter-rotated so that knee isn't pushed inward. Because we can get a great force vector, meaning a linear force vector for a leg drive, but if the knee is pushed inward and the hips are already rotating, it's going to be an unstable leg. It's already going to be into rotation, meaning it's already begun, and it's going to be a bad time to try to drive and peak forces. So we are looking for the linear force vector, but most importantly, we're looking for the counter-rotated hips that's pushing the knee into torsion. And the hips are forward, and the force vector is ideally pointing to the front hip. So when you can counter-rotate the hips, keep the knee out in torsion, take the hips forward and down at the same rate, we want to get that force vector, that ankle and the knee, to the front hip before you initiate your drive. That would be ideal. But the challenge is the counter-rotation, because you're kind of like, that a lot of coaches would say, show your butt to the catcher. That's really what we're trying to do. But making sure that you can still load forward and down, you can hold torsion in the leg, and then you can actually peak and get out of that position. Some guys just can't even get out of it, they just collapse into it. Okay, so that's what we're looking for. And same thing with the lift leg. The lift leg gets out early, which, that can happen, but you want to make sure that it doesn't reach out early. So it'd be ideal if you if you're more of a slide stepper, or when you lift, you like to keep your leg in front of you, that when you're in that position before you initiate leg drive, or your back leg is loaded, hips are counter rotated, knees in torsion, and that leg is that knee is still behind your front hip, that would be ideal. That would be Chapman, right? Because when you want to open and reach out with that front hip, that means you're transferring energy early. It means you're starting rotation early, and everything's going early. And we know high velocity pitchers start rotation later than low velocity pitchers. They get more in the front foot because they have more power in it, and they transfer energy later. So trying to keep your lift leg back as long as possible will only benefit you, and trying to hold your hips into counter rotation, your leg into torsion as you align a linear force vector somewhere to front hip before leg drive will only benefit you. That would be ideal. And if you want to really see this and understand this, go watch that review I just did of David Aardsma, and you'll understand it, because you'll see how well he did it in '09 and how he's not doing it as well at this point today, and he's getting better at that. That's really where David's going. I mean, his goal is to master that late in his career, and you're going to see another revived David. I mean, you saw it last year, and he's just getting better and going down that road, even as he ages, which is pretty exciting for David late in his career, late in almost an 8-year big league career. I mean, kudos to David. We really want him to get that 8-year mark, because a lot of great things, a lot of privileges he's given by Major League Baseball, which will be exciting for David. So let's cheer David on at the DA53 if you want to do it, and just keep an eye on him. Anything you want to add?
I was just going to say a couple of guys that don't keep their hips cocked all that well, like Trevor Rosenthal and Kershaw, like when they're going down and they're kind of letting it fly open, is the ability for them...
You're talking about the front leg.
Yeah, the front leg, yeah. So is the ability for them to be able to do that, is that just because they're, one, crazy mobile, and two, just tons and tons of power? Yeah,
we talked about that before. There's guys that can open the front leg and still hold torsion and counter rotate. Seriously, look at Kershaw. He's counter rotating the hip and opening the front leg. That means a lot of mobility. Because I have guys that will, try to stay closed, but they'll open the front leg and everything goes. And so it's a joint mobility. That guys can do that. So Rosenthal, Kershaw have really good hip mobility to be able to open the front side while still closing and loading the back side, or counter rotating. Next question. Brian Kim 3 asks, how do I calculate joint mobility and biomechanics? Why don't you tell him, since you do it all the time?
Come down and let me measure you out.
Yeah. Well, then just tell him what we do. Like, it's all angles. So tell him, like,
so now we
give him a specific joint. Like, just talk maybe the shoulder joint so they can see it.
Yeah, sure. So like for the shoulder joint, we'll measure internal, external rotation. So I'll get someone. Well, right now we're doing them on like huddle. I'll have them hold like here. I'll have them go down as far as they can, and I'll have them go back as far as they can, and I'll kind of just monitor to make sure they're not doing anything to cheat it and stuff like that. But that's just one example, and then we go through ankle flexion, plantar flexion, hip internal rotation, hip external rotation. We go through all
abduction, hip flexion, hip extension,
the list goes on
trunk rotation,
exactly.
Trunk flexion. We go hip, shoulder internal, external. We can go to horizontal abduction, and everything's an angle. So once you get that set, like Steven said, and you go say internal, then you're going to take the angle tool from 90 down to internal. You're going to get the degrees that it went. So it's something we do in all of our evaluations, and we have a database of guys coming through here every camp for years and years and years, and we know how all these guys move in all their ranges. And I'll tell you right now, every guy who comes in here, it's all poor, because everybody's a low velocity pitcher. And then when you look at high velocity pitchers, they typically have better ranges.
Yeah, and from studies, we're also seeing some high velocity guys' ranges as well.
Yeah, I want to put up on the next science series. Steven's got a great study that really gives every metric and measuring joint mobility and everything, which you can understand that. It was really actually through movement. So that's how we do it, because we're going to sit here and measure you in a static environment where you're not performing, because it tells us, okay, if we can't move in a certain mobility in a certain joint in a certain way, then how can we expect it to occur on a mound through the biomechanics? So that's the reason we do this. So you need to always measure all your joints. Now, when the app comes out, which I hope sooner than later, it actually has a whole self-assessment. We'll walk you through it and teach you how to use your huddle technique to actually even do it and do a self-assessment. You can self-assess anytime you want, because if that pitching coach is trying to tell you to get that linear force vector and your hip internal rotation is 10 degrees, it's never going to happen. So you would know, if you know your ranges and you know them well, you could tell your coach, I know you want me to do this, but I can't physically do it because this is my range. And until I can improve that range, I can never do that drill, or I can never do that movement. And that's how this works. And that's what we do here at the 2X 3X camps, is we give you that assessment, and then we show you how that's influencing your biomechanics, and we show you how to improve that through the program with the lifting, the mobility training, with the drills. So then we can all mold it into the movements and develop the high velocity movements. And that's really the goal. And that's how all this works. It's not rocket science, but if you're not measuring, or if you're not testing, you're guessing.
Absolutely.
And if you're guessing, you're gonna lose. You're just gonna lose in this game. You're gonna realize you screwed up or you missed the boat. And that's how it works.
Yeah.
Cool. All right, we'll see you on the next episode, I guess. Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat. Like I say, get on Snapchat. A lot of things going down on Snapchat. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna Snapchat this right here.
Going down in the Snapchat.
Let's do a fun little snap right now.
Oh yeah.
Show you how important it is. And what it kicks me off.
No, that's because I'm on it. Here,
That's the only thing we don't like.
Here, I got it.
Okay, do a little snap right now of us. We'll do a little. No, do a selfie snap. Like, there we go. Okay, we're on the show, and that's a snap going out right now. I want you to go see it on the Snapchat. So add us and go check out the snap right there.